daven, and when you daven, you bring back all the amshachar that you bring back. You bring your koiches back into life to be able to give you a better chayil. You avoid the free better. Went very quickly with that part.
Oh, so the idea is that what are you asking about? What the connection between the tefillah of weekday and Shabbos is?
Right. Yeah, but no, we said that tefillah is connection to the Eibishter, right? When you daven, you give us up and ganzen to the Eibishter, right? Eibishter, I'm all yours. Do what we want. On the other hand, this tefillah, there's a little bit of you trying to make yourself a connection, right? Neftuli, neftalti, you get connected to the Eibishter, right?
Mm-hmm.
So how in this mimer is he learning it? What's
Well,
his
he explained how. He explained how you daven. What he said was the way you daven is sulam mutzav arza, the roisha magia shamayim. Right, that's the art of davening. You put the ladder into, you erect the ladder firmly in the ground, and the top of the ladder reaches the heavens.
right?
Right.
Which means
What? So what's the part? The part is that the ladder's in the ground. In your life, you go through, what am I going through in life, and how's reaching the heavens? I understand it. I just did today's Tanya. So in Tanya it says today, you saw it, that it's today and yesterday, that every spark of an neshama comes down to this world, not for itself, but rather for the purpose of elevating the world.
To be masakin, it says.
Yeah. So I'm just thinking psychologically, what does that information do to you? What does that, like, when you hear that, what does that do to you? It's the difference, right? If my soul came down for me, so then I'm a limited guy. But if my soul came down, well, it's two different ways of dealing with a struggle you're going through. I'm going through a struggle in life, right? So the one way to go through a struggle is to say, I'm struggling and I don't know how to get out of it and I'm stuck. But if you go through what it says in Tanya, you say, I'm struggling. There's a struggle that needs to be uplifted by me.
Because he says, because it's the klolus, he's saying, because it's not just you, it's the klolus, your soul, that it's masakin.
Right. I'm saying the soul came down to this world, not for itself, but to fix up the problems in the world.
Yeah, but they're not even, not just for you. I'm saying it's for you. But
by extension, for the whole world.
Yeah.
So I think that's how you daven. What you do when you're davening is you're walking into a space of the actual struggle that you're experiencing. You're walking right into it, and you're saying, "I'm here." And it's not that I don't have to solve the struggle, I do. But Hashem is going to solve it for me. Hashem is going to enter the space and Hashem is going to solve it. Right? So I'm bringing Hashem into the place. So it doesn't mean, so what are you saying? I'm asking for Hashem to help? Of course.
Yeah, but how do you compare it to Shabbos? Shabbos is the ultimate. There's nothing to worry about, nothing to struggle. There's no struggles.
Well, is that really true? On Shabbos, on Shabbos, you have to look at Kol Melachtacha, so all your work is done.
Right.
So to keep Shabbos is an active force of working on yourself to the point that you internalize that all your work is done. To feel that all your work is done and you're safe in the hands of Hashem and you're good. That's what we spoke about last time. All my work is not done. I'm in the middle of a struggle. I'm struggling through 400 different things in my life. Why are you telling me everything's done? It's not. Mm-hmm. Right? So when you say all your work is done, what does that mean? I'm saying what it means is to work on yourself, to realize that there's a way that Hashem looks at things and the way Hashem looks at me. And if I look at that way, I'm actually good. To me, what we were talking about last week was what that means is that I'm struggling, right? But when Hashem created the world, he created the world so there could be a Jew living in Lakewood, right? Wherever you are, and he's living over there, and he's over the Hashem and he's struggling in life, and he's still doing Torah mitzvahs, and that is God's purpose. So the Eibishter is getting tainuk from seeing this system work. The Jew is living in this world and struggling. You, if you look at yourself, what are you doing from your perspective? All you have is a struggle. There's me and my issues. From Hashem's perspective, there's a Jew who's in this world, who's transforming the world and living a godly life in the middle of the struggles. That was the goal. Right? You see how if you shift that reality, your whole experience of life shifts. So I think that's Shabbos, and it's exactly what davening is, the same thing. What is davening? Me realizing that the fact that I'm asking Hashem and binding myself to Hashem, that is the goal. That's like the purpose. That's what it means that you have a ladder, sulam mutzavah, of Reisha Magia Shamayim.
Look what he says at the bottom, Peches on the bottom. Always the bottom, Peches.
Mm-hmm. On column 1.
Ik kan one. Geen moet ze beginnen serie doen met mij lamata. Die goes, hij naar de exact so I krijg dan maar de oil naar zijn man lamata baas next day that goes. Why is some goes up and down, not just one way. The tax that just little house national is
What are you reading? What are you reading? What are you reading? The
like
bottom of column 1?
Column 1, yeah.
Yeah.
Nou, I do maar zo weten. We geen nimmt ze beginnen serie doen met mij lamata. Dank je zal betalen ze met mij. We hier beginnen ze wat zeggen. V'zeh shamal chikim b'yodim v'yedim by the last line. Sha'asulim yim tzabeit begins madreges. Shoins begins aliyah b'mayel lamat.
There's two parts to the ladder. There's two parts to the ladder of davening. The angels are going up and they're coming down. So the angels are all the things you're going through in life, right? You have to raise them up. You have to. I'm not struggling. I'm bringing Hashem into my struggle, and I'm bringing Hashem back down into the reality. I can face the struggles in a new way. It's a new life.
It seems like that. Yeah, but it seems like Shabbos, you don't have that part. Shabbos is just the real reality. The Eibishter lights. Because it says, begins Kedushas Shabbos and Vav Yoim Dechoil. There's Meir Oris Rotzen Elyon should be Shabbos Yoim Dechoil. As Shabbos is Meir Rotzen Elyon.
Yeah, well, guys came and left. They finished already? No, the guys came and left. Hopefully more guys will come. Stay a few minutes. What? Yeah. Wait a few minutes. Hopefully they'll come.
Yeah.
You came late. What did you say?
I'm a little afterward, that's all.
Sorry, come again, Mark. I missed the last thing.
That Shabbos doesn't have the struggle b'chal. Shabbos is Meir Haaretz Ratzon Elyon. Besides being the Sham Yisera. The difference is only in the Sham Yisera is only the Shabbos that the Chayichid stays.
Right. I don't remember
what you get
sort of it. But
earlier we had that.
It has to be that way because Tashabar Elikim Lasa is the whole idea that Vaychal Elikim Be'emashvi, right? You finish with the Elikim that moves into Shem Havaya. You go away from Tzimtzum into Revelation. Saying all these ideas about what happens on Shabbos. To me, it sounds like the same thing. I'm looking maybe at the fact that there's in the Maimer in Pinchas, there's a Maimer how you daven L'chun Aranano in Likutei in Pinchas. Right, L'chun Aranano LaHavaya. So you got to get from Elikim into Havaya, from being taken care of, basically. And also over here, he's bringing the whole idea about the Shara Poine Kodim, which, by the way, was yesterday's Torah.
Right.
And he's talking about the Shara Poine Kodim. That's the Avodah of Shabbos. The Avodah of Shabbos is a gate which is turning eastward, which is primordial, going back to Hashem. And that gate is completely Elokus, that you're enveloped by Hashem. I don't see how you could be enveloped by Hashem unless you're doing it in the challenge of your life. In other words, what you seem to be saying is that, okay, so davening is essentially me going down into the world, into the struggle. Shabbos is without the struggle. That may be true at the end of Shabbos. That's what it says. The Shabbos, when you're Friday night, you're still unwinding from the work week. But then when Shabbos comes in, you're moving more into the mode of feeling Hashem taking care of you. But I mean, I don't know. We've got to see where, if in this Maimer he said it, if that's what you mean. I don't know where he said it specifically over here. Anyway, see if we find it afterwards. But let's move on. So the next piece now is about. Now we're going to go into the next step, right? We spoke about what do you call it? Mamamala and Seder. We spoke about the mitzvahs and the Torah, and we spoke about the mitzvahs. Sorry. Then we spoke about Shabbos. Now we're going back to the Torah, and then we're going to put them back together because the three things are put together in the pasuk. Okay, column 2, page S. So again, we just established that what is Shabbos and davening. It's essentially going to a place of feeling all your work is done. Hashem taking care of me. All good. Move along.
I'm sorry, where did you say you were?
Column 2, page S. When you're learning Torah, what are you doing? You're drawing the supernal Ratzon to be drawn down into the lower Ratzon, the desire of Hashem. That means Hashem's desire is lowering itself down. Torah is Hashem's desire. Torah is the things that Hashem wants. Even though Torah is intellectual, and you would think Torah makes logical sense, right, so to speak. Of course it does. But at the core, it's not a logical thing. It's divine revelation. Torah comes out of wisdom, but it comes out into the open through intellect. In other words, it's a portal into the world. You have to intellectualize Torah, but Torah is not intellect. What is Torah? It is the desire of Hashem, Ratzon of Hashem. There are 613 deraisas, 7 derabbanans, for a total of 620 mitzvahs. That is Keser mitzvahs. Keser is Tav Tav Reish, 2,400 and 200 equals 620. So the 620 mitzvahs that you do in this physical world are the crown of Hashem. That's why a crown, the king puts on his head a crown, right? The crown is a symbol of Malchus, of kingship. So that crown, what is it made of? It's made out of stones. It's very counterintuitive. Why would you make the crown, which is the highest part of the king, out of the lowest inanimate object, and put the stones on the king's head? So the answer is that the mitzvahs, just like the lowest level, is the highest. So the mitzvahs, which are performed with physical things, are all the way up to Hashem. They are Hashem's actual Ratzon. שמבחינת חסד נמשך להוקל יסקושר מוטה וזכאי, ומבחינת גבורה נמשך להחמיר. So the Torah comes down through morning soul. Torah comes down through the midos, right? The midos of chesed and of gvura. That's why if you put the thing in through chesed, what are you going to get? The mid of mutter kosher. You put it through the mid of gvura, what are you going to get? Asur. Shammai goes through gvura, Hillel goes through chesed. That's how they pass it. The midas are lower than Chokhmah. So the Torah is Hashem's desire, lowered into his wisdom, and through his wisdom into his emotion. So Hashem's desire from above coming down to this world to tell us what he wants. That is the midas itself. In this parentheses, he says, if you want Hashem's desire to come down, I'm learning Torah. I don't want to just remain in Hashem's intellect. I don't want it to be just an intellectual pursuit. I don't want to learn Torah like what do they call it? Biblical, whatever it's called. You know, when you critique, like a college professor learning Torah. I'm learning Torah, and I want to daven through the Torah. That's the ladder that goes from down up. If you daven and you're passionate and on fire in your connection to Hashem, and then in that context you learn Torah, and then the Torah that you learn itself goes on fire. So you have to daven before you learn.
Isarus de Lasata brings down the Ratzon.
Well, I mean, Torah, that's not the point though. Torah is also Torah is me learning Hashem's Torah. Question is, what makes the intellectual pursuit? How do you escape from the intellectual, right, into the desire of Hashem? I'm learning a Gemara, right? The Gemara is going to be super intellectual. I'm going to leave my brain on a tremendous journey, right? Now, what I want to do is be able to rise higher outside of that, right, and get into what?
Consciously?
Yeah, I want to feel Hashem's the passion of Hashem. Right? So how do I get there? I don't want to feel. I want to learn Torah, and I want to feel a fire of divine energy through it. Okay. The only way to do that is if you. It's like the mimer about cooking food, right? You cook you have to take you have to bake it on echad. So for Yid's davening before, and when he's davening, he's on fire in his in saying Hashem Echad. And then he's like, okay, what do I do now? How do I find this Echad? Says he, well, go learn Torah.
So the Chassidus is chelik of the davening?
There's two parts to Chassidus. There's Chassidus you're learning before davening, which is part of davening.
You say that part is part of the davening?
Yeah, it can be both. Imagine someone learns Torah, comes in, he says, listen, I'm just learning. I don't want to do mitzvahs.
Right.
So he's not keeping Shabbos. What's wrong with that? What's wrong is it becomes just an intellectual pursuit. It's the elevation of the Ratzon HaTachten below and into the Ratzon Elyon. The Yeridas Ratzon Elyon, Ratzon HaTachten, Hashem's Zai comes down. You know, I was looking yesterday. I shouldn't have, but I was looking at it. This Chacham online he was talking about Chabad, and I wanted to talk about the Jewish people. So he was saying, he was asking a question, and his question was, who says that the Jewish people of today are the same as the Jewish people of old?
It was Carlson?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who says we're the same Jews?
Right.
And I was thinking about that, like I don't know, how do you answer a goy? When to tell him? So you can find historically, I'm sure you don't answer historically. Well, how do you know? Because it's like, how do you know the Holocaust happened? If you don't want it to have happened, you're good.
Right.
You know, but it happened because there's history, and that, you know, like everyone's the same. How do I know who I am? Because I know who my parents were, and their parents were counting. That's how. But believe it or not, the people actually counting. But I think it's much more than that. I think it's just like when you listen to him and he says and he talks. I haven't listened to the guy, before, but now he's talking about the Bible and he quotes him in the Bible and different things like that. You can hear the difference where there's a real detachment, like a goy trying to learn Torah. There's a detachment, like there's.
But it's clinical. I mean? It's a clinical thing.
Yeah, it's like learning it like clinical. Like when a Jew learns Torah, hopefully, right? You want to get into this. You're not learning Torah. It's like it's yours. What do you mean? How do I know I'm a Jew? Because look at how you learn Torah and look at how I learn Torah.
Right. He wasn't always like this, by the way.
I don't know, but yeah. So I was saying that's what it is. It's like when a Yid davens, when a Jew davens and he davens and he learns and whatever, it's a whole different experience of saying you can't. So a Jew also, if you just learn Torah and you don't do the work,
outside of the Chassidus, the previous Torah, where else do you access that?
How do you access it?
Outside of Chassidus.
Yeah, good question. What do you mean? What's out there?
Okay, that's a good answer. That's a good answer. That's the answer.
What Chassidus is a way to ignite the soul. That's what it is. That's what we're doing right now. Look what you're doing. You learn, and it's how you keep Shabbos also. It's the whole thing of what we learned about Shabbos. What is Shabbos? Shabbos is Toshet. So you want to do tshuva. When the soul when you give your soul back to Hashem on Shabbos, then the whole thing changes. If you doing the work of Shabbos, right? If you keep Shabbos, that's as if it's you go buy some pitzuchim like they do in Geula, in Mea Shearim, you go buy pitzuchim for Shabbos, some garinim, and you buy a bunch of newspapers, put them down on the table, and you have pitzuchim shulchan, whatever you do over there. So what do you think? It's going to be a godly experience? No. You want to have a godly experience, you got to work it. You got to work it into your life. It's keeping Shabbos properly, what Shabbos means, davening properly, etc. I had someone on my Shabbos table yesterday. A lady was there, so beautiful. She's about tshuva, and she used to be very against Judaism. Actually, after she was very upset with it. But yesterday she was sitting at the table. She sits down, a whole bunch of people at the table. She's like, people start talking. She says, "Rabbi, I didn't come here for the." She was very abrupt. So I didn't come here for the whatever. I want to hear Divrei Torah. She made the whole Shabbos table talking, no, nothing else. We're talking Torah. And she wanted to talk Torah, and then afterwards she wanted to hear, halachas, and then she wanted to sing Zmiris. All the right way. Yeah, that's how you keep Shabbos properly. Now, after parentheses. Torah corresponds to the Kelim of the Mishkan. So we said in the Mishkan there's two parts. There's the Arios, there's the body of the Mishkan, the structure of the Mishkan, right? That's the mitzvahs. The mitzvahs keep you going. Mitzvahs are clarity, right? This is how you do in the morning. This is the afternoon. This is Shabbos. This is Pesach. This is the different things you're going to do. Very clear. Torah is just the energy flowing through it. So Torah is the kelim of the Mishkan, right? The reason is because mitzvahs are clothing. You put them on, you don't actually feel, you don't wear them. Torah penetrates you. So the kelim are much more pnimi. And he says in the parentheses, the kol shkein oren shaboy melachim aluchas mamish. For sure, the oren also is part of Torah, obviously. So the oren is the Torah as it is at its root. What is the menorah? It's the expression of Torah in midos. Why Torah in midos? Because the menorah has 7 branches. The 7 branches we said in the menorah Maimer are all about lighting up each branch, each emotion of your 7 emotions with a fire. So they all represent Torah. All the kelim represent Torah, but different elements of Torah. So the Torah at its source is the Aron HaKodesh. Torah as it comes down is the menorah. She opened her mouth with wisdom, and the Torah of kindness is on her lips. What does that mean? She's called sometimes Chochmah, sometimes Chesed. Okay. All he's saying is that there's a Torah at its core, and then the Torah comes down into Chesed or Gvura or different elements of Torah. So there's many pieces to Torah. That's why there's many pieces in the Mishkan. The Aron is Torah at its core, in its pristine state, in its root. Then it comes down into the Midah, is how you experience it at the Menorah. And then there's the Shulchan and all everything else. Okay. After parentheses. Just like the Menorah, you light on it. But Torah needs to be lit up. Pirush or Torah, it says the wisdom of a person illuminates his pnimius. Chochma of Hashem is kochim. So there's 6 storim. Chochma is kochim. Alelim would say the kochim. Is chochma. You want to learn true chochma of Hashem. The true chochma. What is it? Kochim. You learn Masechta Zvachim Menachos. Those guys, you'll see intense chochma, right? More than anything else. So those ones are called chochma. Is say the kochim. But in the Oras Ponim in Maila, what does it mean that Hashem's face shines? When a person understands a new understanding, when a person gets a new grasp, what happens? His face shines. Babo's face shone when he saw a brand new Tesefta. Why is that? His face just shines and illuminates. When you hear something new, your face goes, wow. We have an energy upstairs. What happens? When you learn Torah, when you learn Torah, you draw a brand new tainug into the world. A brand new light, a brand new light of Hashem, and clothe itself in the Chochmah of Torah. So, this is a very important point. If I'm learning, say, the Masechet Zvachim, so what's happening now? I'm learning Zvachim. So what does it mean? So Zvachim has been, you know how many people have learned Zvachim before me? So you're telling me that yours truly is also learning Zvachim. Okay, shkoyach, and if you didn't learn it, Zvachim would be fine. It wouldn't. When you learn the Zvachim, what happens is a brand new light is being drawn into the world. You learning this Maimer now, let's talk about that. You learning this Maimer, I don't know about you, but this Maimer gives me light, makes me feel, right, ignited. So that's not just me personally being ignited. What's happening is the whole entire godly expression of everything is being ignited. Hashem will illuminate his ponim, but it's going to go to you. So Hashem's ponim is illuminated upstairs. When you learn Torah down here, what's happening is Ya'er Hashem panav eilecha. The previous that's Meir up there comes down to you. Every day you're going to light the menorah, because what Hashem wants is that's the Tanya of today. Every spark comes down to this world for what purpose? Yeah. To illuminate the world. How do you illuminate the world? When you in your life learn Torah and draw Hashem into your space. Interesting how you start going into the menorah part of this line, but yeah. The 7 branches of the menorah, what do they represent? The 7 emotions. Hainu, konen, so the middle branch, what is it? What happens is there's one middle branch And then there's 3 there and 3 there. The kafter tachas shnei hakohanim v'mela, and then there's a kafter underneath them. Tainu shebemokim sheyitzim shnei kohanim v'kohanim v'tzoy yechad dekan v'echad dekan shom yesh kafter. What's a kafter? A kafter is not a button. What's a kafter? Translation of what?
Bowl.
Bowl. So you have like a little bowl-shaped thing, and then there's a branch going out there and a branch going out there, right? So the branches come out of the kafter. And then the next 2 have another bowl in them. So there's the middle one, and there's 3 little bowls over there, the kafterim, and out of the 2 branches flow out of each one for a total of 7. What are we getting out of here? The way the menorah is designed is the way Torah is designed into a Jew. We are hinting at the written and the oral Torah. What are the Shisha Kohanim? Why are there 6 Kohanim coming out? These are the 6 Darim of Mishnayos. Shemekablim, they receive Mikonya and Tzoy from the middle branch. Shehu, what is the middle branch? Shehu, page 176. Bechinas Tersha Bichsav. Beautiful, very beautiful. So the Menorah, what is it? There's 7 branches, there's 6 Dorim in Shas. Where do the 6 Dorim take from? From the Tanakh, from the Tersha Bichsav. So Tanakh, Tersha Bichsav is the middle branch. Out of it come out 6 branches. My time or my crop. The Gemara says, what's the reason? Always, because the pasuk says, so the oral Torah comes out of the written Torah. Just like you have 6 branches emanating from the middle of the middle one, so too the 6 Darim of Shas come out of the middle branch. So why is there a kafter in between? Why is there a kafter in every branch? This is why. If you want mashpia, if you want the teacher to teach the giver, to give the recipient has to do something to be able to receive it. Man is female waters, my nukvin mad is male waters. So what happens is, you're learning a Maimon now, right? The Alter Rebbe put himself into the Maimon, no question, right? You see his whole being, his essence is in the Maimon. But if you want to receive the Maimon, you have to learn it, and you have to internalize it, and you have to work it. So whenever you want to receive from the Maimon of the wedding Maimon goes about that. Right? The way a chassan goes to give a kala. So there has to be a process of being mashpia. So the mashpia has to get himself, the makabel, has to get himself ready to be makabel, right? That's why you do Kabbalah Shabbos, the Chon Rananov. The Chon Rananov is a tefillah that was instituted to go accept the Shabbos. So what if you don't? So before that, they weren't accepting Shabbos. They didn't need to do the work. It was automatic. They knew how to do it. Nowadays, you need to go out and accept the Shabbos. But you do a Kabbalah sponsored by a way, right? To receive the kala into your life.
So what is the bowl? The bowl is the middleman?
The bowl is the work you're doing to be able to receive the divine light into you.
What does that have to do with the bowl?
He's explaining.
Oh, he's going to
Tersha B'chsav, the written Torah, is the mashpia. Tersha B'alpeh, the oral Torah, is the makabel. Shari noida shetersha B'chsav nikra musar avicha. The written Torah, it's called Musar Avicha, B'chinas Av, B'chinas Duchra Mashpia. What is the father? The father is the Mashpia. The written Torah is the Mashpia, and the oral Torah is the Makabel, the recipient. So what happens is, when you're in Tersha B'chsav state, what happens? It's very terse, short, and brief. Tersha B'chsav will have 1 vav. And Tersha B'alpeh will have a full perek of a shoyel from 1 vav of a chiyishon. So you have the Makabel's working on. What's the Makabel doing? The Makabel's working he's breaking his head to understand, what do you mean? Why did you use that extra letter? And then the Torah comes down. So there's an awakening from below and above, which means the Jews sitting down and saying, I must understand what the Torah says. I want to know what it says. So the original guys who did it with Tanoim. In Tanoim and Meroim, they were grappling and trying to understand, what does God want? What's the meaning of this? And they're working this until they get it. So the person, the hasmada, shkida, the person ready to figure it out and understand all that, that's the work from below. That is this bowl.
That's the point that Torah Balpeh meets Torah B'Ksav.
Yes.
And that's why it's expanded.
Correct.
You think?
Saying now, there where the branch leaves the middle branch, right? The branch comes out. That's where the arousal from below and the arousal from above meet each other. That's why you have a double power over there, right?
Uh-huh.
In other words,
so it's like swollen. You're saying it's an area that's swollen because there's double.
Exactly. So if I'm trying to understand what Torah B'Ksav says and I can't get it, what do I have to do? It's like if you have a problem in life, you have to solve the problem. So the same thing you were doing yesterday, which you were cruising in, now you want to do the same thing, but you can't cruise anymore. You have to have extreme passion, right? You're davening in the morning, but now there's something on your mind and it's resting on your mind, so it's struggling. So to be able to daven and just keep yourself in davening is double the work, because you have to work through, right? This challenge going through. In order to get Torah B'Ksav out into the world, you have to work hard to say, what does Torah want? And I have to focus till I bring it out. That's the work of getting Torah B'Ksav. And then Torah B'Ksav reveals things that you never knew before. That's why the middle branch of the Menorah is called the Pony and Tzoy. It becomes 6 branches. There was no need to make a button in this ball and kaftar in the middle, right? You could have just had the branches coming out. No, but the kaftars, you have to have an extra double and redouble, because the 6 branches are the 6 shas, the 6 starim of shas. They come out Torah B'Ksav, and it's extra work to get them out. The kaftar, we're on page 176. The line begins Shehu Av, 10 lines in. Mishar Mokum, it's thicker. It's called knots. Like you connect 2 things together. Where you have a knot, it's going to be thicker because you bound 2 things together. That's why tshuva is always, right, a knot. Al Rebbe puts it out. He says that if you have a rope, and then the rope gets severed, so you want to put it back together. So you have to cut it together. What happens? You get a knot, and actually the rope becomes shorter. So that means with tshuva, you have no choice but to do extra work. That's the knot, and you get closer to Hashem than you were before. So to Abiyah. So all this, right, means that every keli in the Mishkan represents another element of Torah. So we went through now 2 of them, actually. Very briefly, the Luchos, the Aron, what's that? The Aron HaKodesh is a Torah that is in its pristine state. Torah. Then it comes down into the open, into the Menorah. What's the Menorah? That's where you're taking Torah B'Ksav, the middle branch, repeating in Torah Balpeh through the Kaftarim, through the extra work of that. And now another example is the Chena Shulchan. Every branch is another way of learning Torah. Torah is also the Shulchan. Why? Because it's Lechem Aponim, must put on the thing, the bread. What's the connection to Torah? Torah is Lechem. Torah is called bread. What is Torah? It's bread. You eat. The only way, chapter 4 in Tanya, the only way to be attached to Hashem is by learning Torah. Because when I'm learning Torah, me and Hashem become one. Not so with mitzvahs. Mitzvahs, you're learning about Hashem. Torah is He's him and you are becoming one. Your mind actually grasps the Chochmah of Torah. That's why you get food for the soul. So to upstairs, what is it? The Ein Sof should be enclosed in the Chochmah. So it's Hashem, I'm learning you, it's me learning the bread of Torah. So you see, it's 2 different pieces in it here. The Menorah is, how do I get Torah B'Ksav, Torah Balpeh? It's me being looking for Hashem and bringing him down. That's the kaftar of the Torah. The lechem is, I need to understand what you want. I need to learn how to live my life in a new way. And that's the bread of Torah. So each part is a different dimension of it. There's the other thing he spoke about earlier, which was lighting up the menorah, the fire, which is that you got to daven before. You got to keep Shabbos before you learn the Torah. You can't just learn Torah in a vacuum. So then you're introducing a new energy of Hashem into the world. That's why it becomes a motzen b'chayis mamash. We Jews give Hashem parnasa by learning Torah. So all that is Torah. Mitzvos in bechinas levushim umakif in the nefesh and amshachas bechinas in a gila yochol islabish v'miyus. And mitzvahs cannot penetrate you in a pneumius. You don't have a clue what the energy of tefillin are even after you put on tefillin. You put on tefillin and you have to believe something changed. You shook a lulav, you lit the Hanukkah candles at the Rabbanim, you have to believe something happened. But you don't feel it at all. Unlike Torah, what you do. These are the areas of the Mishkan. Just like in Torah, there's 7 levels. So between mitzvahs, there's 7 levels. The difference is the menorah is 7 penetrating forces, and the mitzvahs are 7 items that the Mishkan is made out of that surround you. So now that we have in the Maimer, now we can begin to understand the answer to the beginning question in the Maimer, right?
When he says minim, it means what the ureas are made of.
Yeah, then I'll show you all that. So we started the Maimer, we asked the question, right? The question was, at the beginning of the Maimer, he says, why did when Moshe in Truma Tetzaveh, when Moshe says build a Mishkan, he flips the order from what he says when he actually told him to do it. When he told him to do it, he says first build the Kalim, then the Urios, the structures, and then he tells him to keep Shabbos. Then when he tells him to do it, first he says to do Shabbos, then he says to build the structure, the Urios, then he says the Kalim. So he said to understand this, you got to understand that the Torah is there's what's it called in Torah? There's Mamale and Sovev, right? And Mamale is Hashem's light that fills the world. Sovev is as it encompasses. In mitzvahs, the Sovev is mitzvahs, and the Mamale is Torah. Torah permeates you, and mitzvahs encompass you. And what is Shabbos? Shabbos is the day when you feel totally taken care of by Hashem. So now that we know what that Shabbos is being taken care of by Hashem completely, mitzvahs are the structure which surrounds you, the makiv. Torah is that which enters into you in all the different kelim in the Mishkan, the Menorah and the Shulchan and the Aron, etc.
And what's the Mamal and Sovev of Shabbos?
What?
What's the Mamal and Sovev of Shabbos?
Well, he didn't explain that.
Okay.
He thinks that Shabbos is the etzem. Right? So what does it mean? Well, Pikol now, based on all this, column 1, page 176, paragraph 2. Now we know the Yeriyos, what are they? The mitzvahs. And the Kelim, what are the Torah? And the Bebirin and the Shabbos, we explain what Shabbos is, that the extra soul enters into the body, that you feel Hashem's desire right here in this world. So with this we'll understand Yuvan Betuv Tam Inyan Shaykhus Atzibah Mitzvah Shabbos Tom Mishkan. Why is it that Shabbos and the Mishkan are put together? Truma Tetzaveh tells you about the Mishkan and the Kalim. First the Kalim, then the Urias, then in Kisisa says Shabbos. Why is that order? Moshe Rabbeinu said first Shabbos, then the Mishkan. The opposite. Even though Torah mitzvahs draw down the encompassing light of Hashem into the world through mitzvahs, and the actual pnimi, where you get it deeply in Torah, so the person should feel God al their Torah, their mitzvahs. You need both elements in your life in order to be a Jew, a Jewish Jew, that is. Right? This is the answer to Mr. Carlson over there. That's the real answer. I'm saying I think he's right. think he's right. That we sometimes, are we the same Jews as before? When someone asks you that question, it's not a historic answer. Ask the question, are we the same Jews as before? Are we? I mean, if you are, live your life like a Jew. Right? That's the point. Live your life like a Yid. And what does that mean to live your life like a Yid? Torah and mitzvahs. So how do you do Torah and mitzvahs? Torah is the pnimi. Torah is when you change the way you think, and you change the way you feel. You actually have to work it into your life. What's mitzvahs? That there's an aura you're encompassed by. When you do that, you're the Jewish Jew. But the truth is, but at the end of the day, no matter what you do, you're still a physical body, you're just a human, materialistic being. How do you expect to latch onto the Ratzon of Hashem? And as there's Tchila b'chinas to the Sasha, you have to first arouse it from below. If you want to receive the light of Hashem to penetrate you in an internal way, in Pnimi, through the Kelim, and in an encompassing way through the mitzvahs, what has to happen is you got to do the work before of Shabbos. Right? Shabbos is the setting. You got to feel the desire of Hashem in the world. See, Shabbos takes time to settle in, right? When you start Friday night, you're still unwinding from the week. You go to Shabbos day, you're better. You know when you feel Shabbos at the most? By Mincha. Yeah, and hopefully you're not, and God help you if you're thinking about your phone in 2 hours' time. Next time, in a few minutes, I'm going to get my phone. But if you're able to just go into the Shabbos zone, then by Shabbos Shudas, you're literally, I'm davin, I feel I'm in Hashem's zone. If you go into the zone on Shabbos, then you can work Torah and mitzvah into your life. This is what it means, the extra neshama. It's working Hashem's spirituality into your life. That's the extra neshama. And if you do it on Shabbos, now you build a bridge back down. You see what he's saying? You can't live a fragmented life. There's Shabbos. Shabbos is going into the zone. You rise all the way to the zone of Mincha of Shabbos. Hashem is taking care of everything. Then Sunday morning, you want to daven. Monday morning, you want to daven. Every day you go to daven. What does it mean daven? To draw Shabbos into the workday. Okay, so I started my Shabbos work. I feel Shabbos on davening. Good, you did that. Then you can go the next step. You after davening, learn Torah, and then go do mitzvahs through the day. If you don't do this, you can't draw down. If someone says all I have is Torah, he has nothing. In the command of Moshe Rabbeinu to Yisrael, when he made the Mishkan, he first prefaces Shabbos, and then he says the Mishkan, he told them the order of how a Jew ought to live his life is first Shabbos. You can't walk into life straight away. You have to go into a zone of Hashem taking care of you. Like you can't in life, right? A bacher needs to go be immersed in yeshiva for 10 years. Nothing exists. Then do that on Shabbos. Shabbos is one day a week to do that, fully immersed. Then you can take it into the tefillah of the work day, then into Torah. So and now you can live a normal life. The next column, first you get the general idea, and then you bring it down to you. He tells you first build the system. So first go do the mitzvahs and then the Torah. If a guy says Shema and he didn't put on tefillin, you're bringing, it's an edus of life. The Krishma, with tefillin have the parashas of Shema and everything in it. But tefillin is still makif. So what's the difference between putting the tefillin on your head, the Shema on your head and on your arm, versus saying the Shema. Because it'll be Krishma, when you're putting it on your head, that's a mitzvah. When you're revealing it, that's like you're learning Torah. Right? So you're drawing it down to a pnimius. You're going to have the aura and then the pnimi. That's why you got to put on the tefillin, surround yourself with Hashem's presence, and then internalize it. You can say Shema without the tefillin. So the normal order of a human being is Shabbos zone, right? The guy comes to you. Here's how it works, right? You want to be mashpia and a person to come be from. First thing is get him into a birthright trip and sing Am Yisrael Chai and go by the kotel and give him the experience of Shabbos, right? Magvan. Then he gets that experience. Now he's like Yidale. Now come put on tefillin. Put on tefillin. Now I'm going to learn some Gemara and go learn some Torah. If you start with the Gemara, it's going to be intellectual pursuit. It's nothing. You have to have that experience, which is so every one of us, not just the Baal Tshuva. Shabbos, that zone. Then you bring it down onto you to do the mitzvahs, and then the Torah, and then you move into life. Tomorrow we'll finish it off. We'll see. But Hashem says that the actual say that you do it is the opposite, and opposite direction. Bezrat Hashem. Adkan. Shalom Pini.
Bayach.
What is it?
Yom Tov.